Hi everyone, my name is Nikki. Welcome to Almapura Awakenings Insights. I'm a spiritualist medium and I had a spiritual awakening in 1998, and I am trying to take some time to put out some Facebook videos that will help people connect with their spirit and learn the things that I learned in my spiritual awakening. So that's my purpose for doing these videos, is to share the information that I have that has brought me peace and that has also impacted my life in a way that has changed my life. So today's topic is called spiritual sweet spots. And when I refer to spiritual sweet spots, I'm actually talking about your chakra system. And I'm talking about how you bring information in from the outside world into your experience. How does the vibration of humanity, the experiences that you are partaking in, the conversations that you're having, how do you bring that into your experience and make that experiential to you? And so the way that we do that is through vibration and energy. And the way that we receive information in vibration and energy is through our chakra system. So in our chakra system, we have 7 main points of energy. One is in the crown chakra, which is used for thought. You can think of that kind of like an analytical perspective. In our third eye, we have, this is used for visual, for the spirit and for humanity. So this is where we may have pictures appear in our mind. Our throat is for communication. Our heart is for love. Our stomach is for self-identification. Our abdomen is for relationships with self and others. And in the base of our spine is another point of energy called our root chakra, and that deals with everything on earth. So when we talk about spiritual sweet spots, what we're trying to identify within ourselves is how do we bring information in from the outside world into our field of energy. And we do that based on our chakra system. So when you think of how you receive information from the outside world, if you could pinpoint what chakra you're actually receiving information in other words, you have a dominant one. When I am thinking about myself, I'm a very analytical type of reactor, so I tend to process the outside world predominantly through my crown chakra in the analytical thought. So if someone wants to engage in a conversation with me, or they want to become part of my experience, one of the things that will be a surefire way to engage with me is to trigger my mind and thought, or to ask me a question that will get me thinking, because my spiritual sweet spot, of my dominant spiritual sweet spot, is analytical. Once it passes through my brain, I can then bring it into the rest of my energy. Keeping in mind, I'll give you another example. My younger daughter, her spiritual sweet spot of dominance is her solar plexus in her stomach, and that's connected to validation. So I know that in her style and her way of being, her most dominant spiritual sweet spot is going to be her solar plexus. My older daughter, her name is Brittany, and her most dominant spiritual sweet spot is her throat energy for communication. I have another friend, and her spiritual sweet spot is her sacral chakra. So the reason it's her sacral chakra is because no matter what you tell her, no matter what you share with her, the way in which she responds is to let you know how much she loves you and how special you are to her, and that she'll never leave you or walk away from you. And so she identifies the experience with you in connection to the sacral chakra for relationships with self and others. If we are at the beach, then she finds a relationship with whatever she's experiencing at the beach. So she starts to interact with that almost in the sense that she's in a relationship, where when I am at the beach, I start thinking about the things at the beach way before it gets to my sacral chakra. I'm very connected to what I'm witnessing and what I'm perceiving. So everybody has a spiritual dominant receiving chakra, and that's called your spiritual sweet spot. So my goal today is to try to help you to figure that out about yourself, because if you have a dominant one, like my dominant one is my crown chakra. So in the event that a situation occurs, the first thing that I'm going to do is think about it. And I'm not, at the point that I'm thinking, I'm not feeling, I'm not doing anything. I'm just thinking about it, because before I can bring it in, it has to pass through my crown chakra. What is your dominant spiritual sweet spot? Where do you receive information into your energy? So if you happen upon a situation, does it trigger in your solar plexus? Do you feel a sense of commonality with it? Do you feel a sense of self-identification with the situation that's occurring? That would indicate that your dominant spiritual sweet spot is your solar plexus. But what if you are like me and you come upon a situation and right away your mind gets activated? Then that would indicate that your dominant sweet spot is going to be your crown chakra. And then there's a lot of people that you even know about that are very compassionate people, and when they come upon a situation, the first thing that they feel is the heart chakra. That's what responds first. So their dominant sweet spot is going to be the heart chakra. Now, cut yourself some slack, because other people will have judgments about how you process information. But think of our humanity kind of like a huge computer. You have input, you must process that input, and then you output whatever you have processed. So input, process, output. How do you receive input? How do you process it? And how do you output that information? And that's one of our goals, is to figure that out about ourselves, because we truly do need clarity on how we're receiving information. Because if I'm analytically dominant, if my crown chakra is the most dominant sweet spot that I have, where do I go after I think of something? Do I bring it to my heart chakra? Do I have to visualize something about it in my third eye? After it enters my mind and I discern it and think about it, does it go to my solar plexus chakra? Do I bring it from here to try to figure out how does it match me? How can I self-identify with the thoughts that I've had? Or do I bring it to my root chakra and immediately take action on it without ever bringing it to my heart chakra, without ever reviewing the emotional impact of what that thought process and that action might entail? Like, my husband, he is a root chakra sweet spot person. So if I tell my husband, I lost my keys, I can't find my keys, he is going to say, okay, and immediately he gets up and he starts like moving the couch cushions and trying to figure out if he could find my keys for me. So he's an automatically physical reactor, and his dominant sweet spot is his root chakra. No matter what you tell him, he takes action on it almost immediately, almost prior to thinking about it. But because I'm an analytical sweet spot in the crown chakra, if you tell me that you lost your keys, I'm going to take you through a thought process to try to figure out when was the last time you saw them. Like, did you have them in your purse? Were they in your pocket? Do you remember opening the front door with them? Are they in the front door? So I am going to think about it before I ever bring it into any other part of my experience. Where my younger daughter, again, Marissa, her spiritual sweet spot is in the solar plexus. So if I tell her I lost my keys, she'll be like, oh my God, that reminds me, last week I lost my keys. I was looking for them everywhere and I couldn't find them. So right away, she's going to find, she'll perceive that information almost from a validating perspective or a self-identifying perspective, to where she'll recognize how does she match that particular situation that I'm currently finding myself in. So when you're thinking about spiritual sweet spots, take a minute, think about what is your dominant spiritual sweet spot. How do you input information? Once you have that information input into your chakra system, how do you process it? What other chakras does it visit? Are you pleased with the chakras that it visits? Do you take time to think about that? Maybe you do, and if you do, that's great. But what if you don't? Then it means that you might be an analytical crown chakra processor who processes something in the crown chakra, and if they bring it right to the root chakra, then they take action on it immediately. But what happens 3 days later when it rises into the heart chakra, and now they're not sure if they're an emotionally agreement with whatever they thought and whatever they did. So it's important to figure out, how do we input? That's our dominant receiver. How do we process? Processing being, what chakras does it visit, and has it visited all the chakras that you would like it to? Keep in mind that you can choose to bring it through the other chakras if you like, and that's the most effective way to go through this process. But if you don't, the universe will make sure it does visit every process. So if you choose to do something because your crown is your sweet spot, and then the next place you take it is to the root chakra, and 3 days later you're completely upset about it and wish you would have never done it, then you kind of wish you would have visited, the heart chakra. So think about that. That's on your end, for you to help you recognize your input and output process. Now, if you are wanting to pay attention to other people, if you love other people, if you're in relationships with other people, wouldn't it be really nice if you could kind of understand what their dominant spiritual sweet spot is too? Because if my husband, if his spiritual sweet spot is the root chakra, and he is a physical reactor, and he's going to get up and take action right away because that's what physical root chakra sweet spot people do, then maybe when he comes to me with a problem or a question, maybe to fulfill him, what he needs is for me to get up and help him look for his keys. And maybe while I'm helping him look for his keys, because that's how he outputs for me. So if I want to fulfill him, and I know his dominant sweet spot is the root chakra, then maybe I'll get up and help him look for his keys. Or when he's outside, maybe I'll go out with a glass of water when he's cleaning up the lawn, or I'll get the bag, or I'll start picking up some of the grass or the leaves. So basically, if I take action, I know that I am inputting, I'm sending information into his root chakra, which he will then be able to bring in, because that's how he brings in information. So it's great if I know that about him. It doesn't mean I have to step away from myself. It doesn't mean that I have to reduce that my spiritual sweet spot of dominance is my crown chakra, because I just happen to know that that's mine and that's his. So when I get up to input into his root chakra, then I can still think about where he may have left them, and as I'm looking around with him, I can ask him some questions and let my own spiritual sweet spots activate to help him with that. So these are the things we want to take a look at. We want to look at, how do people receive information? How do they process it? How do they output it? If we're helping them, maybe if we know that, we can help to guide them. We can remind them to look at certain parts of themselves and certain parts of a decision-making process that's really valid. So I think I'm getting a little bit wordy now, so I'm probably going to stop. But I hope I've explained effectively enough about spiritual sweet spots, being connected to your chakra system, used as your human computer, I guess we can call it, for input, process, and output. And that's for us. And when we look at other people, we want to pay attention to what their dominant spiritual sweet spot is too. And we want to help them to be able to process that information. Make sure they're covering all of the points of energy that they need to for that particular decision or thing that they want to do in their life or in their future. So anyway, again, my name is Nikki, and I really am so excited that you joined me for Almapura Awakenings Insights, our topic being spiritual sweet spots. I hope you all have a great day. Find me on Facebook. Find my website at almapura.com, and I look forward to hearing from you. And if you guys like this information, please leave me some comments so I know that I'm not talking to the wind out here. Thanks again. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.